Okay, this is a second tutorial for Year 7 who are working on chords and bass lines. So here we go. I'm going to load in Logic Pro from the bottom of the screen. Now, if nothing happens, you need to go to File, New, or you could go to File, Open Recent and find your recent project that you're working on. But at the moment I'm going to go for New. I'm going to give myself 5 tracks and I'm going to create those 5 tracks. You'll get 5 equal tracks, and over here on the right hand side you can vertically zoom to make them a bit bigger. So as usual, over these 4 things, this I signal here brings up this window here, so I can get rid of that. And this is the library, the sound library, which brings in and out the library here. So I'm going to choose an electric piano track here. I'm going to choose a bass sound like this, choosing the bass category and stinger bass, which are my 2 ones that I normally use. Then over here, I'm going to show you a little bit about this later, but one of the things that's quite fun is to include an audio track. So you just go to Track, New Audio Track, and click on it and it gives you an audio track. I'm going to pull him down to the bottom here. And then over here, with this kind of circle thing, over on the right hand side, is called the loop section. Now if I click on that, and then I go to Instrument, I can choose Drums. I'm going to choose Kits, I think. And then I can audition any of these sounds by just clicking on them like this. So I'm going to scroll down. There are 1,840 items here. So I'm going to try this basic rock drum set. I quite like that. So if I like that, I can drag it from there onto the audio track. So I just dragged it, clicked it and dragged it here. And now I can play it. I can get some basic rock fills as well. I can drag them over to here. Try and make sure that this lines up with a bar line. Okay, it's no good putting this there because that's not lined up with a bar line. It needs to line up with a bar line. You can copy by pressing Alt on your keyboard or Option, and then you hold Option down. You drag whatever you want to copy. Let go with your mouse and then let go out. I'm going to add yet another one of these. So Option. So I've got 3 patterns, 1, 2, 3, and then my basic rock fill. This is what this sounds like. So this one, next one will be exactly the same. This one will be slightly different. And that leads then into the next section. So I'm going to drag, enclose all of these, hold down Option or Alt, and I'm going to drag all of this across to there. So I now have a 16 bar pattern. Sounds pretty cool. Now, before we recorded 4 bars of, let's say a chord. So I'm going to just do, here we are, A minor. So here we go. I'm going to press R for record. Then I've reached my 4 bar section. So now I'm going to double click on this. And I'm actually going to get rid of this loop thing up here on the right hand side. Now you can see I've got a little bit of a delay on my keyboard, so this isn't quite in time down the bottom here. So I can select all of this. I can go to my quantize strength here and select 8th notes, and it'll make it really tidy. So I've got A minor there. So if I click on if I want them to really last exactly the same amount of time, I've got 2 little squares left there. I'm going to do the same so they last exactly the same length. So that's my my chord. And I could record 4 more chords, which of course you know how to do. Then I can match my bass part. Now I'm going to play 2 bass notes. This is an A minor chord here, so I'm going to play 2 A's. And I'm just going to hold that on for the whole length of this pattern. So here we go. I'm going to press R for record. And then I'm going to hold down 2 A's, a low one and a slightly higher one. 1, 2. It's giving me a 2-bar count in. I'm just holding on my bass chord for those 2 bars, and I'm going to let go now. Okay, so I've got a really cool long bass note. I'm going to make sure it's really in time. It's slightly late, so I'm just going to press Q on my keyboard, and that'll make it nicely in time. It ends exactly the same time as my keyboard part does. Now then, so I've got that set up. It's not really very interesting. Let's listen to it. I've got a long chord and another long chord on the electric piano and a bass part going right the way through. But I know the bass part matches with the chord part. Now on another track, this one, I'm going to go to the arpeggiator section. This is where the fun really starts. Arpeggiator. Then I'm going to choose let's say a synth layers one. You could choose any of these really. It'll give you quite a lot of different things. So if I choose droplets, just for instance, if I then were to play my A minor chord with droplets, this is what you get. Or if I was to play maybe bleep motion, it loads it into here. I quite like that. Synth chords are quite fun, so if I chose Chords Nirvana, when I press down my A minor, same chord as this. That's a bit too crazy for me. Let's try echo chords. They might be fun, so it loads it in. So I think they're all a bit crazy for me. I'm going to just try synth basics. There's hundreds of these. So I'm going to try, let's try this one. That's quite nice. I'm going to try Crystal Flight. Again, I find that a bit too busy for anything musical. Now, how about this funk bot here? Yeah, I quite like that. I'm going to go to acoustic ones. I'm going to just try an ethnic percussion pattern. And again, that's not really very useful. So I'm going to go to synth layers again and just choose shifting chords. Now, I quite like that because it's kind of chordy. So I'm going to then just move my electric piano onto there. So this is going to play an A minor chord using that sound. And for my stinger bass next, I'm going to choose my track again. Then I'm going to go to arpeggiator, synth bass, and then I'm going to use just the D chord, the D notes that I played like this. But instead, I'm going to choose it on here, arpeggiator, synth bass, and I'm going to choose, I don't know which one. Let's choose quantum bass. Now it's going to play the same chords that I played, but using, so the quantum bass will do this. And my synth shifting chords will sound like this. And they will play in time with my drum machine. So how cool is this? So just the same as you did before, if you play long chords over 4 bars and then a long bass line, just using the bottom note of the chord, then you'll end up with something quite groovy like this. And then above that, you can then just play traditional things like, I'm going to change this sound now to a synthesizer sound. Classics. I'm just going to choose beautiful melody. I'll just randomly. That gives me this. So I can now play notes of this D minor chord along with what I've played before. except I've chosen the wrong chord because it was an A minor chord, wasn't it? I'm just going to choose the bottom note, the middle note, and the top note of that A minor chord. And that really fits really nicely together. Again, I've got a little delay on my keyboard, so I could just do the quantize thing. Select all my notes, press Q on my keyboard. You'll see them zip into the right place, and then it'll sound really perfect. So if I wanted to, I could go to my thing here and speed up my track a lot. So I'm going to speed it up to say 120. And this is going to have a completely different sound now. So, like you did with the similar earlier project, if all you do is play in a really simple chord, in this case A minor, make sure it's really in time by clicking here, quantizing, in other words, select your chord, select here 8th note, and then press Q. That will make it exactly in time. You do that to all your other elements, and that'll be quite cool. The secret is choosing 8th note here. Then you can play another chord for 4 bars, another chord for 4 bars, another chord, and keeping the same style, you can end up with quite a cool little pattern. So I'd like you to experiment quite a lot with this, because once you've done your chords, you can go to your shifting chords in synth layers and just change. You can leave what you've played, the chord you've played, and then you can change it to one of the other sounds, so it'll play the same chord but with the other arpeggiator. And actually I think I prefer this one, so we could try another one, maybe single digit drama. I have no clue what this is going to sound like. For me that's a bit too much, but it's quite exciting. So this will maintain your melody that you played with your keyboard. It'll transform your A minor chord into something quite exciting. The bass part I think works really well here, so I don't think you need to change that. But there's any number of things you can change to synth chords, synth basics. You can go, synth basics is a really good one. So jittery pulses, let's see what that sounds like. It's going to use my A minor chord here and change the whole nature of what I've done. Now, because this is all based on the chord of A minor, let me go back to here and change this into a keyboard. Oh, here we go. And let's have a keyboard here. Now, because this,
I don't know that one.
because this chord here at this point is A minor, this bass note is 2 A's like this, low down. I think it's actually lower than that. And this melody is based higher up using the A minor chord as well. Then all of this, because this and this and this is based on A minor, when you put the arpeggiators on it in the arpeggiator section, and the arpeggiator here with your bass part in the right section, and then your played melody just on a normal, on a synthesizer. Because all of this is matched into A minor, all of this will work together. So then your next section here, if it's all based on the same chord with the bass part, with the bottom note of the chord, the actual chord held through properly, and anything else you add is part of A minor, it will all fit, and you will end up with a really cool little sequence using all of these new techniques. Like this. So this is your task, is to try and use your skills you know about chords, bass lines, etc., and add in arpeggiators, either the other ones or the bass ones. Bass ones, obviously, you play low down. The other ones, obviously, you play with chords in the middle, but it's a question of experimenting and seeing how well you get on. Good luck.